for the last 7 years, trading stocks for the last 14. A big storm just rolled through. Hopefully the thunder holds off. I got my dog Sweetie Pants below my legs. The thunder's already here. Let's hope the lightning holds off and doesn't trick the power. So we got a lot to check in on, starting with Bitcoin, of course. And so the last time we checked in, I'm filling in for Joey the last couple of days. So the last time we checked in, we were watching, number one, is a weekly lower high going to form? We know anything under 72,000 is a weekly lower high, and it certainly is not going to be surprising if we set that weekly lower high. If we do, we then scout a higher low and a tightening range. Because of the size of this bounce, we have space for that weekly higher low to form. But first things first, is a weekly lower high going to form? And the answer is we don't know yet. But we were watching for the possibility of this to be a daily head and shoulders. It was negated. We had some nice bull momentum over the weekend thanks to Trump and the conference. And if you watched that, you saw, him make some statements. Whether or not you believe anything out of these politicians' mouths, both sides suck. I don't. But we're in narrative season and markets react to narratives. But I think back, if I want to compare, I compare crypto to cannabis sectors all the time because they're euphoria, they have big moves, big retracements. They both have contributed to changing my life financially as a trader. And it just reminds me of 2020 when the Democrats were going to have the House, the Senate, the presidency, and we're going to do this, this, and this. And then nothing happened for 3 years, and the sector just dropped for 3 years. So just be aware this is narratives. And whether or not it actually transpires into anything is what's going to matter 2025 and beyond. But just keep in mind, clearly there are pro-crypto candidates. And just keep in mind that Bitcoin should not rely on any one individual to succeed. If we're relying on one person, one president, one whatever, it's a huge failure. So just keeping that in mind. And one good thing that has not happened in the cannabis space, the Democrats have taken over the cannabis narrative as their own. And the Republicans are not trying to take any of that away from them. Whereas crypto, clearly it's a Trump issue, RFK issue, and now Kamala is being like, okay, well, maybe we'll change our stance a little bit and let's, open some discussions and reaching out to crypto companies to try and not lose all those votes, essentially, right? Let's call it what it is. These politicians are trying to get as many votes as possible. We're in crunch time here. We're in the home stretch, and they'll say whatever they have to say to get more votes. And so we're going to be looking for that to potentially be ramping up over the next 4 months as we head into the election, because clearly, for Trump to show up at the Bitcoin conference, this is a topic that's going to continue to be discussed and a narrative that is going to continue to be pushed. All that said, price action matters the most. And as soon as we confirm as soon as we negated the daily head and shoulders, I then said, okay, well, now we need to be keeping an eye for the possibility of a rising wedge. Again, I'm not bearish right now. I think we're headed to all-time highs. It's just a question of, do we see weekly consolidation first or not? And when I'm most bullish is when I want to be putting on my bear glasses and making sure that I'm watching everything on both sides so I don't get surprised on any kind of move. And so on Twitter, over the weekend, talked about the potential rising wedge, posted about it this morning. We're testing resistance. I don't have a ton of conviction in this pattern, just putting on my bear glasses. And now, of course, all right, I'm paying a lot more attention because we rejected significantly from that resistance line, from 70,000 psychological. And so now the next big question is, can the bears confirm the 4-hour downtrend? So we're testing this rising wedge support. We have a decent little bounce underway right now, but we need to, we play the zoom out game. We need to confirm a 15-minute uptrend. If the bulls do that, we zoom out to the 4-hour, and we then watch for a potential 4-hour lower high. If the bears confirm a 4-hour downtrend, then they follow through. You can see this clear support line, 66.6, 66.4, trying to defend a little level. The simple statement for me is, if daily EMA 12 is support, we're not going to see weekly consolidation. Lose daily EMA 12, and the probabilities of weekly consolidation will increase a good bit. So that's what I care about right now from a swing trade perspective. Are we setting a weekly lower high? Is that shaping up right now? Checking in on the dollar. Last Friday, we talked about this dollar is trying to shape up an inverse head and shoulders. If you are bullish crypto, you do not want to see this confirm. It did confirm for the bulls. The weekly on the dollar looks a lot like Bitcoin. Confirm a weekly downtrend with no follow through straight into a bounce. If it was the same chart, we'd be trading up here right now. But if I'm a crypto bull, I do not want to see the dollar break weekly support right into a weekly bounce. And so the narrative really solidified. Keep in mind, correlations and narratives constantly shift. Remember when regional banks failing was all the rage in terms of headlines, and we were very clearly inversely correlated between Bitcoin and regional banks whenever one of those headlines dropped. And now that's pretty much gone, right? That inverse correlation is not nearly what it used to be. What happened when the CPI numbers came out and IWM shot up in an insane fashion? There was a massive amount of rotation going on. What I have noticed since then is that the inverse relationship between IWM, the Russell 2000, which again is risk on for the markets when that's going up, gold and silver, and crypto, the inverse relationship between these three things significantly strengthened against the dollar on that CPI reaction. And so today we had relative strength all last week in IWM. Today there's relative weakness. The metals dropped really hard this morning as well. They've got a nice bounce underway, but silver and gold both had a big drop. Silver confirmed a daily bear flag with no follow through at the moment. Gold, daily lower high potentially shaping up. And of course, crypto, Bitcoin dropping today. So again, just pay attention to the dollar. It's not the most important thing if you're trading crypto, but it is a factor worth paying attention to. And you really want to see, if you are bullish Bitcoin, this daily confirmed uptrend on the dollar, see no follow through and drop back down with a red day tomorrow. Dominance chart, big red day today. What does that mean? Well, Bitcoin's dropping, so that just tells us that we don't have altcoins dropping nearly as hard as Bitcoin right now. So we were approaching the recent multi-year high in the dominance chart. My mouse wheel is messing up on me here, so my zoom out, not going to be fluid. But we got to the recent high, and now we got a daily pullback, still a daily uptrend. But again, just a quick glance tells us, all right, alts aren't dropping as hard as Bitcoin right now. Litecoin was a lead bull today. I sat down at my computer at 7 a.m., which was 7 hours ago, and said, uh-oh. Why would I say uh-oh? Because every time Litecoin is a lead bull in the recent past, I can't remember a time where Litecoin being a lead bull was bullish the crypto space. It almost always is a red flag for Bitcoin that a pullback is coming. And so shout out, one of you was watching this inverse head and shoulders on Litecoin on my last stream Friday. It followed through. But again, Litecoin being bullish is not a good thing for Bitcoin. And so here we are, pulling back pretty significantly. And again, it's that dash to trash narrative, or I should say that dash to trash mindset when it is Litecoin that is leading the way. Someone asked, is Litecoin BTC a falling wedge? You just have to keep in mind that LTC BTC has been a perpetual falling wedge for years. Was it a falling wedge here for years? I mean, not really a good one. You know, is it a falling wedge now for years? I just can't pay any attention to it. Look at how many slow bleed for years periods that we've seen. If you see that, you know it's not really a good pattern to be scouting for a bull break. Just keep it simple. If weekly EMA 12 is resistance, which has been the case for the last year, nothing is changing. And right now it is still resistance at this point. Feel free to ask any questions in the chat. Appreciate the likes and the shares. I'll get to that when I am done with my spiel here. ETH, solid daily bounce, but we know a daily lower high is the most likely scenario. How do we know that? Because our bounce retracement size, I should say our consolidation after our big bounce, was 60%. That leaves lots of space for a daily lower high. So it was a nice bounce, but anything under 35.63 is just a daily lower high. We're going to be watching for the possibility of a daily equilibrium to be shaping up. It was a big bounce, big pullback, big bounce. Whenever you see that kind of volatility in both directions, we know to be scouting an equilibrium is the most likely scenario. So what's it going to take for a daily lower high to be shaping up? We need to lose the 4-hour uptrend. It's still a 4-hour uptrend right now. Pretty decent bounce underway. Again, if the bulls can confirm a 15-minute uptrend as the result of the current bounce attempt, we zoom out, the 4-hour higher low will be set, and then the question into tomorrow is, do bears confirm the 4-hour downtrend? Again, it's just that zoom out game. Whether you're looking at the bounce and zoomed in to the 15-minute and then you go to the hourly and the 4-hour, for the bears, it's the 4-hour right now. You know, they got the check mark on the short-term weakness today, but bears must confirm a 4-hour downtrend for their next big check mark. And I'm referring to Bitcoin, Ethereum, pretty much everything. That's the next goal for the bears, is confirm that 4-hour downtrend. ETH BTC, as you know, nothing changes if this weekly downtrend is resistance. It has been resistance forever. It's not changing. Someday it will, but we can bounce for 2 weeks and still just reject from it. So just keep that in mind. And again, watching the flows from the ETFs, it's been decent. It's been about maybe a third of Bitcoin on these flows at the moment. So I guess that would be, not bad. But we got to keep an eye on it. The flows for Bitcoin, there was a lot of outflows when it first traded the first week. Should have had this graphic up, apologies, but there was a decent amount of outflows the first week as people, bailed on GBTC, and then we saw the inflows really make an impact in price. And so what ETH bulls are hoping is that the outflows of ETHE, again with the crazy fees coming from Grayscale, that the outflows would be Sweetie Pants is distracting me. She's trying to go inside. I would let her in, but I'm not wearing any pants. So ETHE has a lot of outflows, and we want that to subside and for the inflows to overtake things and have an impact on price, but no sign of that yet. We would need this ETH BTC chart to see a significant move up if that were happening, and obviously relative strength on ETH would need to show up. So watching for it. It's worth paying attention to the inflows and outflows. Obviously, Bitcoin showed us. FOMC is Wednesday. FOMC is going to significantly impact the dollar in the short term, which means it will significantly inversely impact metals, crypto, and IWM in the short term as well. Wednesday, 2 p.m. Eastern. Definitely got to be aware of that. Essentially, that may be what confirms a weekly lower high shaping up on Bitcoin, or keeps the bulls strong, testing resistance. I mean, we're right there. We're 10% from an all-time high. That's a sneeze for Bitcoin. But we'll see what the FOMC reaction is. Sol has been a lead bull. Nice weekly equilibrium bull break. But as we know, if Bitcoin is not going to break resistance, then Sol bulls aren't going to go very far. They're keeping their relative strength. That's a great sign. We know there's tons of space for a weekly high or low. Next consolidation. We've got a daily uptrend guide. Actually, again, it's just EMA 12. Was this a little downtrend that confirmed? You could say yes or no. It depends on you as an individual. But for me, if daily EMA 12 is support, we're not going to see weekly consolidation. If we lose daily EMA 12, weekly consolidation is likely shaping up. Same statement I made on Bitcoin. And again, you're watching Sol BTC, which is up at the high. I should say it's recent high, not the high of this move. But again, that's, this is exactly what bulls want to be seeing. There are not many altcoin bulls out there stronger than Bitcoin. So focus on the ones that are. Sol is one of them, and XRP recently has been one of them. This XRP daily chart tells us what? Volatility is coming. You cannot get much tighter than this. We've been trading sideways over the last week or so, and we know a break and a volume spike are coming. The most important support for me, 58 cents short term, and anything under 63.2 is just a lower high to keep tightening up. But again, volatility is coming. If you're a bull, just ensure you don't get faked out. If this inside bar today breaks bull, that's great, but still possible to set a lower high and keep tightening. And XRP, BTC, daily equilibrium worth watching. Tightening up, direction that this breaks, obviously will have implications on the direction, I should say the direction the US dollar breaks will certainly have implications on this BTC pairing and the direction that it breaks. And last, the crypto stocks. Big red day today. Started strong with gap up opens and now potential bearish engulfing candles. A bunch of them have earnings this week. Coin and Riot both have earnings. But again, if IWM's dropping hard and Bitcoin's dropping with it, these names are going to be hit hard. And so the question for the crypto stocks for the rest of the week is, do bears confirm daily downtrends? Coin has been a lead bull recently, but MARA, bear flag on the daily, definitely on the table as possible. CLSK, daily lower high. So we have daily downtrends. And these crypto stocks are still clearly a bit weaker overall. And Bitcoin has been the better bull. Actually, out of curiosity, Bitcoin divided by coin. Doing roughly the same thing. No, if this chart is sideways, it means they're doing roughly the same thing. Bitcoin was outperforming here. Coin was outperforming here. Not much difference. All right. So in summary, before I get to you all in the chat room here, in summary, we've got some 15-minute bounces underway. If we confirm 15-minute uptrends, we zoom out to the 4-hour. The bears really want to confirm a 4-hour downtrend from here to keep their check marks going on down the line on different time frames. We've got the FOMC on Wednesday, which is going to have a significant impact. And we're watching the dollar as just one clue, just one piece of the puzzle, but it does give us a little bit of information. Little trade review, I did play a Bitcoin oversold bounce this morning. And it failed, but just showing how me as a full-time trader used the NASDAQ to make this Bitcoin bounce, or this trade attempt. So I was watching this QQQ drop, and the 5-minute bounce started on QQQ. And at that point in time, I was trading the ETF, IBIT. So that 5-minute bounce started at about 11:20 a.m. And 11:20 is back here. And at that point in time, the 5-minute bounce is underway. We didn't have a 5-minute bounce underway yet on Bitcoin. It was still a stair-step drop, lower high every candle. There was a tiny little heads up. I said, all right, 15-minute is oversold on Bitcoin. I'll give it an oversold bounce attempt. I entered into IBIT. I believe it was 38.60. I sold half, or I sold partial. No, I sold half at 38.70. And now my break even was 38.50. And so I put my break-even stop, 38.50, under the low at that point, stop out. Break even, nothing happens. And just wanted to show that, number one, because of transparency, it's important to ensure that you're showing wins as well as losses in my position, but also to show that that tiny little clue from the NASDAQ, and also another aspect of the clue was we then saw a new low on the NASDAQ and Bitcoin did not see a new low, but that little clue allowed for me to position risk-free. And, you know, maybe 33% of the time that bounce plays out, maybe 50% of the time, I don't know. But I positioned myself in a no-risk, whatever reward scenario with a tiny little clue from the NASDAQ. And so all that to say, there are tiny little clues that you can get in other little pockets of the market, and it is worth paying attention to if you are trading Bitcoin or crypto actively. All right. YouTube chat time. Again, thanks again for the likes and the streams. Not the streams, the likes and the shares. And all that stuff. So we looked at LTC, BTC. What's up, Karan Bell? BCH, what are we doing? Big bounce? Nice follow through. So 2-day uptrend confirmed there. Nice. Again, just beauty inverse head and shoulders. Similar to Litecoin in that regard. And holding gains better than Litecoin. Very similar setup. Big upper wick on Litecoin. What's the difference? Double top to the penny with the left neckline. And BCH blew right through the left neckline. Holding the gains better. Both sides suck. You got it, Hex. Thanks, Sakthi. My mic's just far away from me right now. I moved it. It's the standard Blue Yeti. Really what it is I'm in a room surrounded by glass and stone because I'm prioritizing my mental well-being above a tiny fraction of a better sound. And you just got to deal with it. Because right now I'm looking at cardinals eating grass seed and a thunderstorm. If I want a better sound, I'd be looking at a wall that had sound dampening things and I'd be miserable. So life's give and take, and this is one that I'm taking. But yes, my voice is just reflecting off glass constantly. How many 4-hour bars to confirm a trend direction change? So the number of bars doesn't matter. Go to our YouTube channel and watch Joey's webinars. Go to our playlists on YouTube. This goes for everybody. I know many of you have gone through this already, but here's 6 hours of course-like education. Go to our playlists and go to Joey webinars and watch all 4 of them for 6 hours and take notes and treat it like a college course, and you will be a better trader if you do that. There's way more work to be done in addition to that, but that is your base pillar of technical analysis education. So honestly, the question is, can I dive a bit more into the FOMC and the impact it would have? I don't let the fundamental narratives permeate my analysis. In some instances I do, but with the FOMC, when the FOMC decision hits, I don't even look at the decision. I'm looking at price action because that's what I'm using to base trades off of. The words that Powell is saying, and even, CPI, there are some days where we'll get CPI numbers and then I'll realize it's 5 p.m. I don't even know what the CPI number was because all I was doing the entire time was trading price action, and it doesn't matter to me what the fundamental number was. It's all the price action that matters. So, your question is lower interest better or worse for Bitcoin? That doesn't mean anything to me because if we get lower interest but the market dumps, that's what matters. The price action. So again, you don't want to be 100% technical analysis and no fundamental analysis, but with my style of trading and using technical analysis as 85% of what I do, I just don't care at all about the actual narrative. I don't listen to Powell. On FOMC days, I don't have the press conference up. I'm not listening to what he's saying. I'm not reading the press release that comes out. If Bitcoin were to break down, so if Bitcoin sets the weekly low or high, we are then watching for, again, the weekly high or low is most likely in my opinion, but we want to see a retracement size for bulls, ideally 50% or less, which means 61.7 or less. You don't want to pull back more than that because then that would be a hard rejection from a weekly low or high. What is my preference to trade Bitcoin or Bitcoin ETF? IBIT. I believe it's one of the highest dollar volume and most liquid names. Today we're trading $1 billion. That is plenty for me. And honestly, I didn't put too much research into it. You know, show me the top 3 highest volumes, and I'm just going to pick one of them and get used to it, and then just always use that one. Bitcoin's about still going a bit here. 15-minute hasn't topped out yet. Trying to create more space for an eventual 15-minute uptrend. Yep, 0 fees on the ETF. That's definitely why I trade it. So how often do we see Bitcoin in a sideways range without a breakout or a breakdown? This is definitely one of the longer term ones for sure. 5 months now. And again, we know to be paying attention to these tightening ranges when they happen. Yeah, there's not a whole lot that's comparable, at least since I've been trading crypto since 2017. Back here, I definitely remember this one right before the bulls really took off and proved themselves, but even that's only 3 months sideways. Yeah, it's one of the longer term ones. It is a very wide range. I mean, we're trading within a range of 30%. Yeah, 30% range. But we know what's going to happen when this range breaks. Solid volatility. And so while we are in the sideways range, I've been swing trading crypto way less. And if I'm going to go aggressive back into trading crypto, it will be a monthly bull flag confirming and blue sky breakout. That would certainly be enough to get me active again. Yep, stock's still pulling back. Look how tight SPY is. SPY is in a second daily inside bar. Inside bar, inside bar. We failed resistance today. We had a big bounce, but we're just range bound, tightening up. 30-minute time frame. Just 3 days of tightening here. And that's likely going to remain that way for the rest of today and likely going to break tomorrow. So expecting volatility to pick up in the broader market a bit tomorrow. All right. Appreciate you all tuning in. Thanks again. Bitcoin 4 hour into tomorrow is what matters most for me. And we are still in this rising wedge. You know, if we get a decent bounce here, the wedge has not broken bear for me just yet, which is why that 4 hour downtrend would be important for bears to confirm if this is going to follow through. All right, make sure you do good things, everyone, and we'll see you real soon.